Welcome back, guys. Burn Boot Camp Podcast. Matt Morris here, VP of Fitness. I got Trish Pena, VP of Marketing.
Hello.
And this podcast, we're going to talk about training versus exercising. What's the difference? What are some examples of taking a method of activity and turn it into training, but also just maybe taking that activity and doing exercising with it. So I'm going to start this out just so people know the definition. So to me, exercising is a physical activity you're just doing. You're just not thinking about it. You go into it, not having an objective, not being intentional about it, not tracking things during your workout. That's just not training. Training, on the other hand, is before you work out, you know, every part of your workout, you know what weights you're going to pick up for the exercises that you're going to do, you know how many reps you're going to get with those weights, you know the outcome of it, every rep, the outcome of every set, the outcome of every exercise, and obviously the outcome of the workout. Where exercising, you're just going in there, you're not thinking about a thing, you're just picking up weights, doing random things, and not having intention behind it.
Can I give an example and see if I'm right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I am going for like a long run and I'm not tracking my pace, I'm not really looking at my watch, I'm just running, that would be exercising.
Just moving your body.
But if I go for a long run, I have my Apple Watch on, I'm tracking my pace, I have like a goal in mind, that would be training. And I'm not necessarily training for like a marathon, but that's an act of doing something with intention.
Yeah.
So does that give a good like example of what you're saying?
So you do both, obviously, for
I do
running.
both, yes.
Which one do you like more and why?
I think it depends on the day. I mean, when I go for a run and I'm just like, I put my shoes on and I got to go, it's typically when I've had like a hard day because to me, running is my form of like therapy. I put on either a good podcast or I put on some like hardcore like rap music and I just run and I kind of run my feelings out a little bit. But then sometimes I'm like in a competition mood and I'm like, I want to see if I can, run 5 miles and have, all under a 7-minute mile. Like I give myself like a goal. So to me, that would be like my training method.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, I think training is more result oriented than exercising. They will both get your results, but if you're going to stick with something, if I have two people and they're going to work out for the same amount of time, like for a year, and one person trains every time they work out and one person just exercises when they work out and just does the activity, that person who trained for the year is going to have way more results compared to the person that's just showing up and moving the body. I'm not saying anything's wrong with just showing up and exercising, but for me, from my perspective, if I'm going to if I'm going to take my time away from something else, like my work or whatever, then I want to make sure I get everything out of that. And that's why I like to train. And that's why I would say Burn Boot Camp, we try to get our members to think like that because, I mean, most of them are females. Most of them are moms. They're taking time away from their kids, their significant other. And if I can train for 45 minutes, then I'm going to see a lot more results compared to somebody who is just going to show up to camp and just move their body. There's nothing wrong with that, but I would gear towards people to actually flip the switch in their mind of, all right, I got an objective in this workout. I'm going to push my body in a way I haven't yet. That's training. So that's, to me, the biggest difference of the two.
Well, and I think I can take this to like a personal aspect. Before I started at Burn Boot Camp, like I've always been active. I've played sports growing up, would consider myself an athlete, again, love to run. And I would just always go for long runs. And before I joined a gym, wasn't Burn Boot Camp, but before I joined a gym to do more than just run, I didn't really see a lot of change in my body. Then when I started to lift weights and do things with purpose and intention, training, right? Then when I would go to exercise, when I go for my long runs, I could run further and I could run faster and I felt lighter on my feet. So you can still do both. It's not to say that you have to pick one or the other, but training will only help improve the way that you feel with the exercise. And I think that would be probably considered like LISS, right? Low intense steady state, where you're just it's the act of moving your body really, which we always 100% recommend. Definitely don't not do that. But training is only going to help you in that process.
And if you guys are getting trained and you're in camp, like by your trainers, if you ever hear a rep goal called out over the mic from your trainer, like on a strength day or on a conditioning day, or they're counting you down in a conditioning day to finish an exercise within a time period. That's training, right? Where if I'm a trainer and I'm not telling people to pick up heavier weights because their form is good, or letting members just stay in a comfortable state, then they're just exercising, right? So the biggest thing is flipping that mindset of training in a strength workout or conditioning workout. If you don't like to train, that's great. But I feel like, man, if you're going to invest your time every day to do it, and you're going to pay the money to do it, to belong to a gym, like, man, you gotta train.
It's funny.
And you'll feel better.
You will feel better, but it's funny. And I would love to know if anyone else feels this way. There are sometimes when I show up to camp and I'm like, I am here just to move my body. Like that. I mean, Matt, if he was training me, he could come up to me and be like, I need you to mod up. Like, I might be like, no, I'm actually just here to exercise today. No. But I think that's how sometimes more in, I think probably our cardio like type camps, it's a little bit easier to get away with that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Still showing up for yourself, but you do feel like, I feel way better if I show up to a camp with the thought process of I'm going to train today and I'm going to work my booty off rather than just like move my body.
And this just popped in my head. I think this is a big thing people have a hard time to grasp, is like, you can still train without going as hard as possible or picking up the heaviest weights. So you can still have an objective on a strength day where you might not feel great, like Trish says, right? So if she comes into camp, or say you come to camp, you tell your trainer, hey, I'm not feeling the best today. Say it's leg day, right? And I know as Trisha's trainer that maybe she always squats with 80 pounds on her back, right? She's not feeling great. Perfect. I can still have an objective for her during that squat where, okay, not going to use 80. Let's bring it down to 50. All right. We'll just get more reps, right? So there's still an objective out of you working out. So I don't want people to think that training is just going balls to the wall 100% of the time, all the time. It's not that. It's always having a goal and objective of what you're doing. That's training, where you're not, well, on the other side of exercise, you're just not thinking, you're just doing whatever you want when you want. So that's the main difference for me, is training is applied to hard days when you feel really, 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 really good, but also make them relatively hard when you don't feel great that day. Because I do that too, right? When I don't feel great, I back off on the weights or the amount of exercises I'm doing, but I still have an objective and a goal of the weight I pick up and the exercise I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think that was helpful, because I was grasping what you were putting down. Something else that popped into my head that's kind of a different topic, but I've definitely fallen into this, is like, I will exercise, not now, but I have previously, if I maybe thought I overate. So I think that's also when like you just feel like you need to move your body because you need to burn more calories. I think that's something else that people, it just messes with you mentally. And that would fall under that category of like, oh shoot, I ate a piece of cake last night. Now I got to, go for a run. That to me is exercising. That's not necessarily training.
Agreed.
But
agreed.
That was a fun topic.
Well, I hope that helped.
Yeah.
I think maybe you guys didn't know the difference. So I hope you came out of this podcast having a better understanding of what those two terms mean.
Yeah.
All right. We're not telling you there's a best way. We gave you our recommendations. So if you're someone that likes to exercise, keep exercising. If you want to make the switch to train, start having objectives and intention behind each workout, and having an outcome of each workout. And I promise you might see more results over time. Okay.
Great.
So if you're on Spotify watching us, that's great. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, share it. Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, and we'll be back with another one here shortly.
Awesome. That was
Two
fun.
claps on two.
Let's go.
1, 2.
Bye.